The first thing they told me was, if you see anyone outside the house at night, ignore them. Don't open the door. Don't engage. They smiled after saying it, like it was some kind of joke. I didn't smile back. I was 23 at the time, taking summer jobs doing house sitting, watering plants, basic upkeep, making sure everything stayed in order while the owners were away. Easy money, usually. This place wasn't usual. It sat in the middle of open plains, no neighbors, no nearby roads, just a long dirt path leading out to a weathered wooden house surrounded by nothing but tall grass and empty land stretching for miles. The kind of place where sound travels too far and silence feels heavy. Before they left, the owners repeated that same warning more than once. If you see people outside at night, ignore them. I asked, what kind of people? They paused, then said, just people who pass through sometimes. That didn't sit right. They didn't explain anything, just repeated it again before they drove off. The first couple of days were quiet. Too quiet, but manageable. On the third night, a little after midnight, I was sitting in the living room with only a lamp on. Out of habit, I glanced out the window, and I saw them. 3 figures standing out in the field. Far enough to be silhouettes, but clearly people. They weren't moving, just standing there, facing the house. I froze. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, but the longer I stared, the clearer it became. They weren't walking. They weren't talking. They were just watching. I closed the curtain immediately, tried to rationalize it. Maybe farmers, maybe someone lost, but something about how still they were didn't feel normal. I texted the homeowner. 10 minutes later, I got a reply. Ignore them. That was it. No questions, no concern, no explanation. Just that. I didn't sleep much that night. Every so often, I'd pull the curtain just enough to peek, and every time, they were still there. Same positions, same distance. By morning, they were gone. No footprints, no tire tracks, nothing. That's when I started feeling like I was missing something important. The next night was worse. Around 1:30 a.m., I heard it. A single sound. Tap. From above me. The ceiling. I stood still, listening. A few seconds later, tap, tap. Slow. Measured. Like footsteps. My chest tightened. There were no trees close enough to hit the roof. No reason for anything to be up there. And the sound was too deliberate to be random. I stepped into the center of the living room, looking up as the noise moved, from one side of the house to the other, from the bedroom area toward the kitchen. Then it stopped, directly above me. I held my breath. Then, thud. One heavy thud, right over my head. I flinched back instantly. At that exact moment, my phone rang. It was the homeowner. I answered immediately. His voice was different this time, tense, controlled, but rushed. Listen carefully, he said. You need to leave the house, now. Don't turn on extra lights. Take only what you need and go. I said, there's someone on the roof. He cut me off. Don't stop. Don't look outside. Don't try to figure anything out. Just leave. Something in his tone made it clear this wasn't up for discussion. The line went dead. I didn't argue. I grabbed my keys and moved toward the door. Every instinct I had was telling me I wasn't alone. I opened the door slowly. The air outside felt still, too still. And then I saw them. 2 men standing near my car, not moving, just watching me, like they already knew I was coming out. They didn't speak, didn't approach, just stood there. I got in my car as fast as I could, locked the doors, and didn't turn the headlights on until I was already moving. As I drove down the dirt road, I checked my rearview mirror, and I saw more figures out in the field, more than the night before. Too many to count clearly, just shapes, spread out, all facing the house, or maybe watching me leave. I didn't stop driving until I reached a gas station nearly 40 minutes away. I stayed there until morning. When I tried to contact the homeowner again, my number was blocked. Emails went unanswered. It was like he disappeared. 2 days later, I went back with someone else to grab the rest of my things. The house was empty. Not just no one home empty. I mean completely vacant. No signs anyone had been living there recently. No personal items, no food, nothing. Like the place had been abandoned for a long time. I never got an explanation, but one thing still bothers me more than anything else. They knew those people were coming, and whatever was happening out there, they didn't try to stop it. They just made sure I didn't stay long enough to see it.
I almost didn't take that shift. It was one of those late-night delivery blocks. Flex work, decent pay, but you end up driving through areas you wouldn't normally go near after dark. I figured a few hours, quiet roads, easy drop-offs. It wasn't quiet. Around 2:10 a.m., I pulled into an old apartment complex on the edge of town. The kind of place that looks worn down even in daylight. Faded paint, broken balcony rails, a few dim lights flickering in the stairwells. At that hour, it felt abandoned. I parked near Building C, grabbed the package, and checked the app again to confirm the unit number. That's when I noticed him, standing near the entrance, mid-50s maybe, thin, wearing a jacket that didn't match the weather, just standing there like he'd been waiting. I nodded, just out of habit, and started toward the building. He stepped closer. "Late night for deliveries," he said. His voice was calm, but something about the way he said it felt off, like he was testing how I'd respond. "Yeah," I said, keeping it short. "Just dropping this off." He didn't move out of the way. "Who's it for?" That question alone was enough to make me uncomfortable. People don't usually ask that. I glanced at my phone. "Just a delivery." He smiled a little. "You know, not everyone here ordered something." That was weird enough that I just walked past him without responding. I went up, left the package at the door, took the photo, and headed straight back down. He was still there, same spot, watching me. As I walked past him toward my car, he said, "You shouldn't come here this late." I didn't answer, just got in, locked the doors, and pulled out. I told myself it was just a strange guy. Happens sometimes. But about 5 minutes later, I noticed headlights behind me. Same car. Hadn't been there before. I turned right. It turned right. I slowed down a little. It stayed behind me. At that point, my chest tightened. Could be coincidence, but at 2:30 in the morning, on near-empty roads, coincidences feel different. I made another turn. Still there. Now I was sure. I didn't want to panic, so I kept driving toward my next delivery. It was about 10 minutes away in a quieter residential area. The whole time, that car stayed behind me, not speeding up, not backing off, just there. I pulled up to the next address, hoping maybe they'd keep driving. They didn't. They slowed down too, then parked a short distance behind me. My stomach dropped. I considered just leaving, but I was already there, and for some reason I didn't want to show panic. I grabbed the package and stepped out. That's when the driver door of the other car opened, and he stepped out. Same man, walking toward me faster this time. "Hey," he called out. I ignored him and headed toward the house. "You delivered something to me earlier," he said, louder now. I stopped for half a second. Big mistake. That pause gave him time to close the distance. "You didn't say much," he continued. "That's not very friendly." His tone had changed. It wasn't conversational anymore. I dropped the package at the door quickly and turned back. He was already close, too close. "Why are you in such a hurry?" he asked. I didn't answer. I just walked straight past him toward my car. That's when he snapped. He grabbed my car door before I could fully close it and slammed his hand against the window, hard. "Talk to me!" he shouted. I locked the doors immediately. He started hitting the glass once, twice, loud enough that I thought it might crack. Then he started yelling, words I couldn't fully understand. Not slurred, just disconnected. Like sentences that didn't quite connect to each other. "You came back. This isn't right. You're not supposed to." I didn't wait. I put the car in drive and pulled out fast. He stepped back just enough to avoid getting hit, but kept shouting as I drove off. My hands were shaking so bad I almost missed the turn out of the street. I drove for a few minutes before pulling over somewhere with light and other cars. Then I called the police. I gave them everything, location, description, what happened. They actually took it seriously. About an hour later, I got a call back. They found him. Turns out, the package I delivered at that first location was ordered under his real name. He lived in that complex, and according to them, he'd been reported before for approaching people at night, delivery drivers mostly. What made it worse was this. He had placed another order, scheduled for the next night, same address. And apparently he had a pattern of waiting outside for deliveries to arrive. No real reason, no clear motive, just approaching strangers, escalating when they didn't respond the way he wanted. I stopped doing night shifts after that, not because of what he did, but because of how normal it all felt at first. That's the part that stuck with me. Nothing about that situation screamed danger right away, until suddenly it did.
I've never been the type to scare easily, but that night, something felt wrong in a way I still can't explain. My name is Adam. I live alone in a small house just off the edge of a forest. It's old, quiet, exactly the kind of place I wanted. Well, not completely alone. I had my dog, Luna. She wasn't aggressive, but she was smart. Sometimes a little too smart. That night I took her out for a short walk before bed. It was freezing. Snow covered everything. At first, everything felt normal, until she stopped, just completely froze. The leash tightened in my hand, but she wasn't pulling forward. She was staring directly behind me. She didn't bark, didn't move, just stared. I turned around slowly. Nothing. The forest was completely still. No movement. No sound. I told myself she probably heard an animal, but something about the way she stood there didn't feel right. So I pulled her along and we went back inside. About an hour later, I was sitting on the couch watching TV when Luna started howling. Not barking, a long, uneven, almost warning kind of sound. She was standing by the window. I walked over slowly and looked outside. Snow covered the yard. The glass was fogged and frozen over, except for one spot. A small patch, perfectly clear, right at face level, like someone had been standing there, breathing onto the glass. I stepped back without thinking, stared into the darkness. Nothing. A few minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Loud. I froze. Then a voice. "Hey, I need some help." Something about it felt off. It wasn't panicked, wasn't rushed, just calm. Too calm. I didn't answer. The knocking came again, harder this time. "My car broke down. Just need a minute." I looked at Luna. She was behind me now, shaking, letting out this low, quiet growl, like she didn't want to be heard. I raised my voice slightly. "Call the police." Silence. Then, nothing. Less than a minute later, the power went out. Everything. The lights, the TV, just darkness. And that heavy feeling, like the house suddenly got smaller. Then I saw it, through the curtain. Light. Headlights. I moved slowly, peeked through the edge. A black car, parked right in front of the house. I never heard it arrive.
Then the knocking started again, but not on the door, on the window. Soft, repeated. Tap, 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 like fingernails. I stepped back immediately, grabbed my phone, called the police. My voice was low. I was trying to explain, but nothing was coming out right. While I was still on the call, I heard footsteps. Outside. Slow. Heavy. Moving around the house. Stopping, then continuing, then stopping again. Right by the door. I didn't move, barely breathed, until I heard the car engine start, driving away, slowly. The police showed up about 10 minutes later. I stepped outside, barely feeling my legs. They searched the area, didn't find anyone, but they did find something. Footprints, in the snow, leading from the road, straight to my window, then circling the entire house, ending at my front door. One of the officers said, "Looks like he left before we got here." I didn't respond, because I was looking at something else, something they didn't notice. There was another set of footprints, lighter, closer, standing, right behind the first ones, like someone else had been there too. Since that night, Luna doesn't go near the windows anymore, and me, I don't go outside after dark. But the worst part isn't what happened. It's the feeling that whoever was out there wasn't trying to get in. He just wanted to make sure I was inside.